This is Joe Leigh here for Seconds Out with one of the best trainers in the country, Dom Ingle, here at the Ingle Gym. First time I've been here, it's everything I expected. Old school, traditional gym. How are you today?
I'm just thinking, now you've come to interview me, I've done this as a special favour to Danny. I'm looking at that Seconds Out sweatshirt and thinking he's going to have to send me one now. So
It's not too bad, yeah.
all right. Yeah, no, it's good. Everything's good. You know, it's good to see you. I think we've done an interview before, so it's good to see you back out on the circuit.
Thank you very much. So let's talk about some of the boys at the gym. Kid Galahad, Barry, he's going to be fighting Jazza Dickens for the IBF World Featherweight belt. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, we're just in talks with Eddie, and now hopefully that's going to go on the end of July, first week in August. We're just trying to determine a date, so that's getting signed up as we speak. So hopefully that'll be done before the summer break, and looking forward to that one.
How's he looking in the gym?
Yeah, he's looking good. Obviously, he's been in camp a long time. He hasn't boxed for 18 months, but he's the ultimate professional. He's never out of the gym. He's always training, always keeping on it. So I'm expecting a good fight.
And people always say when they speak about Kid Galahad, he's someone who literally sleeps in the gym. What do you think it takes for him to get that belt, other than the fight on Saturday? What's it been like in the process over the last 5-10 years for him?
Well, yeah, it's been a long slog. You know what I mean? He's obviously got beat by Josh, a year ago, 2 years ago, and it's funny how things turn out. Look where Josh is now. He got stopped in his last fight, and Barry's back in another world title fight. And hopefully somewhere down the line, you know, Barry wins this fight, and we make that match, because I think it's another fight. I don't think it's a fight people want to see again. It might be a different fight this time. So, you know, it's been a hard journey for Barry, but he's focused, he's dedicated, and you know, he's ready to collect his prize at the end of it all and get that belt. He's boxed Jazza before. It's not a foregone conclusion. Jazza's improved immensely. He's had some great fights, beat some good kids. So it'll be an interesting scrap. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out from the last fight that they had.
Willie, of course, coming off a loss to Lennox Clark. How's he looking? Is he still in the gym a lot?
Yeah, back training, but you know, boxing's ups and downs, and you know, experience counts in this game. It all went wrong for him that night, but you know, he was back in the gym. He came out to Miami with Liam Williams, supported him in that, did the corner work. You know, he's rejuvenated, and you know, he's looking forward to his next fight. So hopefully that'll be announced soon. I think he's going to fight sometime in June. So we'll just wait for Frank Warren to announce that date.
And what level of opponent will that be, do you think?
Well, we'll just see at the minute. You know, see who's around. Obviously, it's very difficult at these times now. If with boxing, getting opponents in, it's even though the lockdown's getting lifted, it's been a difficult, you know, 12 to 18 months getting the opponents. So we'll just have to wait and see.
And how about Liam? Because he was on a tremendous run up until the fight with Demetrius Andrade. It was a great fight. He lost by unanimous decision. Where's he going to go from here? Is he going to stay at middleweight? What's the plan for him?
Yeah, he makes middleweight easy. Don't forget he came up from light middleweight, so he's never having a problem making middleweight. And he did say to me after the fight, you know, he was a different kettle of fish, Andrade, probably the best middleweight champion out there. Tricky, could fight, and I think Liam gave a very good account of himself. People have spoke to Andrade afterwards who I know, said, oh, you know, he was such a tough guy, such a hard fight. I think Liam can, you know, get back into world title contention, fight the other names out there at middleweight, you know. But Andrade is always going to be the nightmare opponent for Liam, as for most people, even probably for Canelo, because he's one of those guys who can hit you and not get hit. And the times that Liam did catch up with him, he had him in trouble, but he was just, you know, not enough. The ring was massive. He had him in the ropes one time. He just needed to catch him more and catch up with him more, and he just managed just to keep out of harm's way for long enough, Andrade, to get that decision. But you know, Liam was happy enough with his performance. Obviously, he would like to get the win, and he'll be back sometime, you know, in the autumn. He's just having a kid at the minute, and he's just putting the time in. He's worked really hard. You know, the fight could have come sooner. He got strung out a little bit with the lockdown, and we would have liked it sooner. But it is what it is, and you have to take your chances while they come.
What do you think Andrade does from here? Obviously, he went to the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight with the top saying Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders are scared to fight me. Do you think he builds up well against either of them?
Well, you know, that'd be a fight against Billy Joe Saunders. It's a bit of a stalemate, because they've got a similar kind of style. You know, they kind of negate each other with what they do, because, you know, it's the hit and not get hit style. I think Andrade would give Canelo problems. He'd have to be 100% fit, 100% on it. But, you know, he's the closest you're going to get to, you know, Mayweather. You know, and I don't think, regardless, no matter how much Canelo improved, he would never beat Mayweather. That style's always going to be the wrong style for him. And I think Andrade as well, if he came 100% fit, it would be a hard fight for Canelo. I don't think Canelo would want to take that fight. Let's see how long he tries to avoid him for. But you would think that's the logical fight to make.
And over in America, of course, this weekend you've got Jorge Linares versus Devin Haney. Also, in America, Las Vegas, on the 24th of July, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3 is signed and sealed after a very short gap between when Fury announced the AJ fight was happening. What do you make of it all? Do you think it's a bit suspicious, the fact that it was signed so quickly after Wilder won the arbitration?
Well, let's go to the Haney fight, Linares. I think that's a fight at the right time for Haney. You know, Linares, I think Linares at his peak would have run rings around Haney, but I think he's on the slide now. Linares had a good career, and you know, he's a little bit ring worn now, and it's the ideal fight for Haney. So, you know, I think Haney will win. That'd be too strong for him, too young. As far as Tyson and Wilder 3, I don't think there's going to be any different outcome. I think the thing with Tyson Fury is once he's got your number, he's got your number. And, you know, he can make as many excuses as he likes, Wilder, as many as he likes. The top and bottom where it is, he's not on the same level as Tyson Fury. And, you know, that's the first fight he probably, you know, had the fight he did, Wilder, because Tyson really were coming off, you know, a long layoff. He had 2 or 3 scratchy fights, what were nothing, whereas Wilder was riding high. And I think Tyson in the first fight was probably 70%. In the second fight, it was probably 90%. In this fight, it'll probably 100%. I think it'll be, you know, a repeat. I just don't think Wilder has got it in him to beat Tyson. And as far as the AJ thing, who knows what the politics are behind boxing, the TV schedule, I don't know. All I'm saying to you is it is what it is. And, you know, Tyson gets Wilder out of the way. AJ fights his next one, Usyk. And let's see if they get it on before Christmas. It'll come eventually, but realistically it's the fans baying for the fight. They're wanting the fight. But boxing's a business, and it can wait. You know, it can wait. It'll generate more money. There'll be more interest. Who knows? Let's say Wilder beats Fury and Usyk beats Joshua. I can't see it happening, but, you know, we'll see.
Do you think Tyson Fury could overlook Wilder because he hasn't fought in over a year now, and also he's still one of the most fierce punchers in heavyweight history? Is that a possibility, you think?
Listen, he might not have boxed in over a year, but last time he boxed, he battered Wilder, didn't he? And psychologically, do you know what I mean? He came out with all the excuses afterwards, Wilder. It was this suit of armour I was wearing, it was this, it was that, it was the other. You know, you don't really hear Tyson Fury making excuses, do you? You know, he just goes out and does it. And like I say, the first fight when Wilder nailed him, he looked like he was dead. And he climbed up off the floor, and you could see the look on Wilder's face. He was so disheartened. So, you know, Tyson Fury, he's one on himself, isn't he? He's just mentally got it, and I think he will always have Wilder's number. So, you know, I think Tyson Fury will never overlook. He knows how dangerous Wilder is, and he'll make sure he's got the preparation right.
Quickly, just back on the Devin Haney-Jorge Linares fight. We sort of mention in the build-up that it's a great step-up fight for Devin Haney, but he's already a world champion. Do you not think he should fight Lopez now, being as that's the fight everyone wants to see? And in boxing, I know it's often a conversation that there's too many belts. Do you not think now Haney's the world champion, he doesn't need a step-up fight in Linares and can just fight Lopez sooner?
No, listen, it's same again. It's TV. If you can get the fights, look, boxing's about making money and getting experience from fighting different levels of fight. I think fighting Linares first will give him more experience for facing, you know, the next fight. So, you know, you can't blame him for that. He will fight everybody who's put in front of him. Haney, he's doing well. He's savage. He likes to have a tear up, and you know, he talks the talk. So let him have that fight and then move on.
Obviously, Danny Morrell, Bradley Skeet also in the gym. How are they getting on?
Yeah, you know, Danny's doing all right. He's coming every day training. Nothing's happening at the minute fight-wise, but he's dedicated. He's got some good sparring in. Bradley Skeet, he's got a fight next week. You know, after 2 or 3 years out, he sparred Michael, the problem McKinson the week, great spar, you know, and he realises he's still at a good, decent level. So, you know, it's not, you know, it's just a fight to get back into it, get some rounds in, have a look at him. He's put the time in. He's been in this gym 6-7 months now. He's done the training. He's got his confidence back. He's got his desire back, his motivation back. And it's a case of, you know, I think we're all waiting for the autumn to kick in and boxing get back to normal and get the fights moving and get the big names in.
Josh Taylor, obviously, last weekend defeating Jose Carlos Ramirez. 2 knockdowns, 1 beautiful left uppercut. Did you think the second knockdown in particular lasted too long?
It doesn't really matter, does it? Because, look, the kid got up. He needed those 2 knockdowns to win the fight. And it was heavy. It was a heavy knockdown, and it took enough out of the guy. And I think it doesn't matter. Even if he got up sooner, I don't think Josh Taylor would have finished him, or he would have been allowed to finish him. So it was what it was. He got the knockdowns. He beat the guy. He outclassed the guy. And Josh Taylor, you got to give him credit. He's a nut job. He likes to have a fight. He intimidated the life out of that guy. He came into the ring with a lot of belief. And Josh Taylor just did what he did. He's a mad Scotsman, and that's the good thing about it. That's the beauty about him. He's fearless. He's not scared of anybody. And fair play to him, unified champion of the world. What a great result, and a British fighter.
I think it'd be great for him to fight Jack Cattrell in Edinburgh Castle. However, potentially against Jack Cattrell, but also Teofimo Lopez, if he's successful on June the 19th against George Kambosos Jr., that fight would be great either at lightweight or at super. Sorry, yeah. Do you think that fight's possible, Josh Taylor? And which division do you think would be best?
I don't think Josh Taylor's going to go down the division. He's too big at 10 stone, and I don't think he's big enough for 10-7. I think he's one of those fighters that 10 stone, 140 is the best weight for him, because he's big, he's strong at that weight. He's got an advantage over most. So, moving up, I don't think he should do that. If I was him, I'd just keep it that way and clean up, make the money. And then, if the challengers come at 10-7, you don't want to be picking any big 10.5 stoners, big guys, and ruining his legacy. He can just clean up at 10 stone.
Do you think 147 £, Terence Crawford, money's calling? Would you not take that fight if you were Josh Taylor, team Josh Taylor?
Yeah, Josh Taylor could. I mean, don't forget, he's getting older, Terence Crawford, and that's the thing. And Josh Taylor's, you probably needs to wait a little bit longer. Would be a good fight, and a fight Taylor could possibly win. But you want to wait a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Wait a little bit longer till the edge has been knocked off of Terence Crawford. I think that's the way to go. And
if you were Teofimo Lopez or on his team, would you wait to become undisputed at lightweight before going up to fight Josh Taylor at super light?
I think in this climate, you've got to go where the money is and look for the big money fights. You're not a boxer for a long time. You've got to make as much as you can in a short period of time. One minute you can be flying high, and the next minute you're down in the dumps. So go where the money is. Go where the money is.
Kell, Brook, have you been in contact with him recently? Have you got any news on potentially his future?
He's been back in the gym a few times in a couple of sparring sessions. Nothing's happening at the minute. I would imagine if he gets a fight date, he'll be more on it. But he's been in once or twice, comes in, talks to the lads, done a bit of sparring, bit of pad work, bit of running, had the crack, and so we'll see. It's just waiting if another fight comes up.
It's 2021. I can't believe I'm still asking this. Do you think Amir Khan versus Kell Brook is still a possibility?
Listen, anything's possible, isn't it? If you can get the likes of the Jake Pauls and the Mayweather, it's car crash TV these days. I always refer back to Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. They never boxed each other at the peak, but eventually they did box each other. And I think same with Kell Brook and Amir Khan. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but it'll be car crash TV. Things have changed. They've both been beat, and Khan's been knocked out more times than Kell. He's had a lot of damage, but it'd be interesting. I think people will still pay to see it, because people are paying to see fights what aren't really supposed to be happening. Conor McGregor, Mayweather, Paul, Mayweather against the Japanese guy, whatever. People now are tuning into that kind of stuff. So I think it would probably still sell.
Do you think Kell will always have a chip on his shoulder if that fight doesn't happen, more than Amir Khan?
I think they like to get it out of the way, because there's obviously been a lot of talk between them, slagging each other off, and I'm better than you. And I think it's always going to be competitive. It's gone a way back. It's gone a long way back. So I don't think of his chip on his shoulder. It's just one of those things you miss, one of those opportunities, isn't it? I think it is a good fight to have, clear the air, and it settles the debate.
And last of all, I do want to mention the sort of YouTube scene that's on the up at the moment. Of course, Mayweather versus Logan Paul's been picked up by Sky. Taylor Ramirez wasn't. What do you make of it all? Do you think this could start to be a big negative impact on boxing in the next couple of years?
Sorry, tell me that one again.
So Josh Taylor versus Ramirez wasn't picked up by Sky or BT. However, Mayweather versus Logan Paul has been. And there's a lot of hype building around that. Do you think this is bad for boxing, the fact that traditional boxing is no longer like the biggest fight, you could say?
No, not really. Look, people are going to tune in and watch what they want to watch, whether it's a good fight, you know, or it's celebrities fighting or whatever it is. It's entertainment. You got to remember, boxing's entertainment at the end of the day.
Show business.
It's show business, entertainment, and people are going to pay for what they want to see. And so as long as it's, you know, fair play to Mayweather, he's had a great career, he's boxed everybody. If that's people are going to pay to see that, fantastic. You know, I saw Jake Paul against KSI. I don't care what anybody says. He's better than I've seen prospects fight before on undercards, and it wasn't that exciting. It was a good fight. It had lots of drama. It was a great atmosphere, different fan base, lots of young kids in there, and that you know brings them into boxing. So you know it wasn't. You know, people slagged it off before, but I think it was a benefit to boxing because other stuff happened. Obviously, his brother boxed the other week, and that was a load of rubbish. But you're going to get that anyway. But I think it's not going to do it any harm, and eventually it will bring boxing higher and be crossover into the masses, and people who are non-boxing fans start watching it.
Last of all, I do want to mention, as I said at the start of the interview, this is my first time down at the Ingle gym. Brendan Ingle Way, opposite, there's a statue, memorial sort of boxing glove plaque. Brendan's name's living on in Sheffield. Is that something that you're consciously worried about for the gym, and do you want your name to be sort of thought about when you pass?
No, not really. Look, this is Brendan's project, and you know where his son's carrying it on, and we're never going to replicate what he did because he was a different kettle of fish to me and my brother John. And you know, I get so many people now. It was the anniversary of his death on Tuesday, and I still get people sending me, you know, their experiences of meeting him. His memory lives on in everybody else's memories and stories, and there's been thousands and thousands have come through this gym over the years, and they've all, you know, got a story about Brendan or a memory about him, and it's always a good one. And that's where it lives. You know, for me, it's just great that we've still got the gym, we've got Brendan Ingle Way, we've got the gloves, we've got the plaque outside. He'll always be remembered, these lines, and for the work he did. And it's not something I'm going to replicate. If it comes and, you know, we do all right, fair enough, but it's going to be he was at it for 40 odd years. It's a long time. And times have changed in boxing now, and the people coming into boxing are different, and you know there's other forms of entertainment.
YouTubers.
Yeah, there's YouTubers. There's lots of stuff. So it's a different era. You know, back then we didn't have social media to be somebody be on Sky Sports. You know, the likes of Nazim Ahmed. It was a different time, and we can't replicate that. We can just move forward and hope that boxing continues.
I think you mentioned, I think it was on SecondsOut a year, maybe two ago now, Willie Hutchinson's your last big project. What happens next after that?
Well, there'll always be people coming in. I mean, obviously, looking back now, and Willie got beat, but it's not the end of the world. We've been in positions before where fighters like Johnny Nelson, Ryan Rhodes, Kell, they've been beat. Look, it'd be great to have an unbeaten record, but we stick with things. You can see potential in people. There's reasons why, you know, people get beat. There's always excuses as well, but I'm not going to waste my time on somebody who I don't think is going to get there, and I think Willie Hutchinson will 100% get there. He might not get there in the way that he thinks he's going to get there, or people expect him to get there, but he will get there. So that's just a time thing, and it's a long time in your life spending time with people. Kid Galahad, I've had him since he was 14. He's now 31. It's a long journey, and he's still got to be world champion yet. So that's another journey we've got to follow through. And committing that kind of time to kids coming through now, sometimes you're more dedicated and more focused than they are. And if you find the individuals like yourself, fair enough. But it's getting less and less.
And someone you did just mention, Ryan Rhodes, he's involved in the new ESBC boxing game. Have you had contact with him about that? Is anyone in the gym going to be in the game, and are you going to be in the game as well?
No, it's not for me. People talk about. I look at it this way. If there's going to be a boxing game, computer boxing game, surely there'd have been one by now, you know. And that's it. And there's got to be a reason why. Maybe there's no call for it. I don't know. But I've got an old Wii, and it's got boxing on it, and I like playing that. But boxing games, I would have thought something like EA Games or whatever, one of these big companies, if there was a market for it, they'd have already done it, and they haven't. So I don't know. It's not something I'm getting involved with. It's not something I want to be involved with. I'd rather be, involved with real boxing, not virtual stuff.
Brilliant. Really appreciate your time, especially on short notice. Only mentioned a couple of days ago. So, yeah, thanks for letting me down. The gym's everything I expected. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.